payment service providers, and other financial market intermediaries to enable instant and secure payments between African countries. It means a trader in Ghana can order supplies in Kenya with cedis and buy it in Kenyan shillings and not have to go through dollars or euros or pounds sterling. This will simplify the historical complexities and costs of making payments across African borders and provide operational efficiencies to open up vast economic opportunities for all stakeholders. It means we have a simplified process that reduces the costs and complexities of foreign exchange for cross-border transactions between African markets and enables innovation in cross-border trade and access to new African markets. Mr. Speaker, if we campaign so hard for the opening up of trading among African states, we had better have something to sell. I'm glad to report that despite the adverse effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on firm-level production and productivity, as well as the disruption in global supply chains, the manufacturing subsector showed significant recovery last year. Manufacturing recorded an average growth of 7% in the first half of 2021, compared to 0.7% in the corresponding period in 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. Our flagship One District, One Factory initiative is being implemented with business promoters being empowered and supported to establish new factories or to transform existing manufacturing enterprises to contribute significantly to job creation across the country. In the first half of 2021, compared to 0.7% in the creation across the country. Mr. Speaker, through the 1D1F initiative, the Made in Ghana label is being stamped on a wide range of products proudly manufactured in Ghana. Out of a total of 278 1D1F projects at various stages of implementation in all the 16 regions, 106 factories are currently operational. 148 are under construction, while 24 projects are at mobilization stage. Mr. Speaker, in order to bring the youth on board the 1D1F program, 58 out of the 278 1D1F projects have been developed as enterprises fully owned by youth groups with direct government support. Each of these 1D1F youth companies are owned by between 40 and 50 youth as shareholders. In addition, 5 medium-scale state-of-the-art agro-processing common user facilities have been established with direct support from government and are owned by various groups of farmers whose farming operations have previously been undermined through lack of processing facilities. These farmer-owned companies have been established in 5 districts, namely Doma West, Savalugu, Sefia Kontombra, Setre Central, and Takwa in Swayem. They cover oil processing, rice milling, and the processing of maize into maize grits. Mr. Speaker, quite a number of global vehicle manufacturing companies have set up assembly plants here in our country and started producing vehicles for our market and for the West African market. The well-defined Ghana Automotive Development Policy we outlawed in August 2019 has facilitated this welcome development. Since June 2021, Toyota and Suzuki brands of vehicles are being produced here, commencing with the production of Hilux, pickup, and Swift models. VW, Volkswagen, and Sinotruk which commenced commercial operations in 2020, have continued to assemble their brands of vehicles and are enjoying significant local patronage. In addition, a new state-of-the-art assembly plant with capacity to assemble 5,000 new vehicles per annum has been established by Nissan in Tema, which is currently producing Nissan and Peugeot brands of vehicles for the Ghanaian and West African markets. I will have the pleasure to commission this new plant in Tema tomorrow. 3 other vehicle manufacturers, namely Kia, Hyundai, and Renault, are also expected to commence commercial production this year. Our national iconic automobile brand, the Kantanka brand, produced by Kantanka Automobile Company Limited, also stepped up production of its made-in-Ghana vehicles, which include Nkunimdie SUV, Omama pickup, Onate 4x4 pickup, Otumfor SUV, and K71 small SUV models. Now that the Minister for Finance has announced an embargo on the importation of 4x4 vehicles for official use, I hope the local assembly plants will take full advantage of the opportunity, especially since government is continuing with its policy of giving first priority to locally assembled vehicles in respect of all publicly financed procurement of vehicles. Mr. Speaker, we have proof beyond the education, agriculture, and manufacturing sectors to show that we have been using state revenue to expand infrastructure across other sectors and improve lives. For the first time in our history, we are doing something about the infrastructure needs of the judiciary on a major scale. A courthouse is an essential element of the architecture of a state dedicated to the promotion of the rule of law. And yet, there are large areas of our country that are not served by any court, and people have to travel long distances to access the services of a court. Unfortunately, as the former Chief Justice once put it, the conditions of most of the court facilities around the country where they exist are not fit for purpose. We have thus embarked on a project to provide 100 courthouses and accompanying residences for judges and magistrates around the country. 50 of them are being built and are near completion and should be handed over to the judiciary soon. Mr. Speaker, 121 residential units for the judiciary are also being built across the country. Furthermore, 22 new modern townhouses are being constructed at Denyame in Kumasi to address the accommodation challenges facing Court of Appeal judges assigned to the northern sector. Some of you might remember that work began some 20 years ago on the construction of Law House, a proposed new office accommodation for the Office of Attorney General and Ministry of Justice. A 12-story edifice consisting of 10 floors above ground and 2 stories underground. Work on the project has stopped many years ago. I'm glad to say that not only has the project been resurrected, I'm told it is expected to be completed by the end of this year. Mr. Speaker, whilst on the subject of law enforcement, the passage of the Right to Information Act, the Witness Protection Act, the amendment of the Criminal Offences Act, and other laws have enhanced significantly the capacity of the state in the fight against corruption. It is also an undeniable fact that budgetary allocations for institutions actively engaged in public sector accountability, that is the Office of the Auditor General, the Judiciary, Parliament, and the Ghana Police Service, have witnessed significant increases since I assumed office in 2017. Furthermore, we now have a new special prosecutor who appears to have all the wherewithal necessary to exercise vigorously the prerogatives of his office. Mr. Speaker, it is in the road sector that we have registered the greatest infrastructure achievement. I know that the word unprecedented is often used with careless abandon in our public discourse, but I use it carefully and purposefully. In the 5 years of my government, so far, more roads have been built, improved, and upgraded than at any equivalent period under any government in the history of Ghana. Some 10,885 kilometers of new roads have been constructed in these 5 years. Let me mention, Mr. Speaker, that yesterday it was my honor and great pleasure to have commissioned the Tamale interchange. The first such interchange in the northern sector of our country, which the people of Tamale gladly celebrated. I considered it to be a most satisfying birthday present. We intend to continue with the building of roads around the country to accelerate the opening up of our country. Excuse me. Mr. Speaker, we have kept to our promise and kept the lights on in spite of worldwide upheavals in the energy sector and in spite of the huge legacy debts we inherited. We've almost completed the process of restructuring these debts to reduce their crippling effects on our public expenditure. With the introduction of more bulk supply points in areas such as Kasua and Pokuase, power transmission has improved tremendously in the southwestern and northwestern parts of Greater Accra. Power lines are getting upgraded to reduce commercial and technical losses and increase transmission capacity. Under the National Electrification Scheme, a total of 279 communities have been connected to the national grid. This has increased the national electricity access rate from 85.7% in 2020 to 87.3% as of January 2022. 487 more communities are at various stages of connection and completion. We are on course to achieve our ambition of universal access to electricity by the end of my term as the President of this country. The accommodation problems, Mr. Speaker, facing the military have long been matters of national sadness. I'm glad to say that the first stage of the military housing project, dubbed the Barracks Regeneration Project, has started with construction going on at all garrisons across the country. The military academy at Teshi is being modernized, and we're keeping our armed forces retooled and equipped to enable them to live up to their duties. Each of the different branches of the armed forces, the Army, Navy, and Air Force, has received significant financial assistance to upgrade its logistical bases and strengthen its capabilities, and its welfare requirements are being substantially addressed. We're building modernized armed forces with higher numbers of personnel that will be fit to meet the demands of the 21st century. The protection of our borders puts extra burden on the military, especially since there's increased terrorist activity in the region and instability in many of our neighboring countries. 15 forward operating bases, or FOBs as they are called, are being constructed across the country to help in the prevention of cross-border crimes and terrorist activity. Mr. Speaker, I believe we can all testify that our police service is undergoing a great improvement and a change of image before our very eyes. During times of anxiety, we need a responsive police service to boost the confidence of the population, and it is good to see the police rise up to the challenge. Nothing starts people off in a bad mood more than the driving habits and traffic jams that create chaos on our roads and make every road journey a nightmare. Gradually, the police are bringing order to the roads, and we all now know that the law is no respecter of persons or vehicle types. I urge all of us to cooperate with the police to perform their duties to enable all of us go about our lives in peace. I'm happy to state the government has been able to provide much needed modern equipment, 20 housing units at the National Police Training School, which are at an advanced stage of completion. Work is also going on the construction of a huge barracks complex at Kwabinya to replace the one adjacent to the DLA at 37, where the conditions of living are poor. Mr. Speaker, together with the implementation of a number of operational and personal welfare interventions, the morale of police officers has received a considerable boost, and today, public-focused interventions instituted by the Inspector General of Police have resulted in a better police-public relationship. The police service is gradually regaining the trust and confidence of the public under the leadership of its new Inspector General of Police. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated last year would happen, a national dialogue on illegal mining was held under the auspices of the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry in Accra, as well as in two other regional ones in Kumasi and Tamale. If ever the support of all citizens was required to make something work, it is in the battle to end illegal mining and restore our lands and water bodies back to health. We have declared river bodies and forest reserves as red zones for mining. We have suspended the issuance of all prospecting, exploration, and reconnaissance licenses for minerals in forest reserves. Launched Operation Halt 2 to help rid our water bodies and forest reserves of illegal miners. Revamped the community mining scheme as more sustainable and greener safeguards to replace illegal mining. What we need above all is the buy-in of all citizens to recognize that the degradation caused to the lands and water bodies by the illegal mining practices affect each one of us, and which all should take an interest to stop those involved. Let me use this platform to extend again the condolences of the nation to the victims of the Apiache explosion. The response to the disaster by the public and the organs of state was highly commendable. Government responded swiftly in the immediate aftermath of the incident by dispatching a high-powered delegation under the leadership of the Vice President to Apiache. An Apiache Support Fund has been established to spearhead the building of a decent, green, and sustainable community to enable victims of this tragic incident and members of the community get back on their feet and rebuild their lives. As rising out of this incident, government will ensure that the health and safety policies of the mining industries are in accordance with international best practices. Mr. Speaker, the Green Ghana Day last year was a great success, as many people turned out to join in the exercise to plant trees. I urge all of us to continue to take care of what we planted to make sure that the 7 million seeds we planted, i.e. 2 million more than the original target of 5 million, become fully grown trees. And please, join in the Ghana Green Day when it comes along on 10th June, the designated Green Ghana Day for this year, when we seek to plant 20 million trees. That is a fourfold increase over the 2021 target of 5 million. Mr. Speaker, you would recollect that in my message to Parliament last year, I indicated the government is collaborating with the private sector to establish 14 medical waste treatment facilities and commence the construction of 16 integrated recycling and compositing plants across the country to help address once and for all the safe disposal of medical and municipal solid waste. I'm happy to inform the House that these facilities and plants are at various levels of completion and will be completed by the end of this year. Mr. Speaker, as part of government's Water for All program, several water systems have been initiated and at our various stages of completion. The import of the program is to ensure that each region will benefit from at least one water supply project. Phases 1 and 2 of the Upper East Region Water Supply Project have been completed and will be commissioned soon. Contractors are on site working on the water projects in Keta and Sunyani, and preparatory works are ongoing on the Yendi, Damango, Tamale, and Sekandi Takradi water projects. Mr. Speaker, towards addressing the housing needs of Ghanaians, government has developed a new affordable housing program, with the state now playing the role of facilitator through the provision of land, infrastructure services, and tax incentives and exemptions to subsidize the cost of construction of the housing units to reduce their prices. In furtherance of this, preparatory works have commenced for the development of 2 designated sites at Pokwase Amasama in the Greater Accra region and Dedesua in the Ashanti region, which are expected to deliver some 12,000 housing units. The long wait for decent and secure accommodation for public servants at the district levels will soon become a thing of the past. Government, through the State Housing Company Limited, has commenced works on the preparation of the district housing program for the construction of rental housing units at the district level for public servants. The pilot phase will be implemented in 16 districts across the 16 regions of the country. That notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, government continues the completion of the existing affordable housing projects to increase access to secure, safe, adequate, and affordable housing units across the country. Tema Development Corporation, TDC, for example, has continued with the construction of the Go Affordable Housing Project, which involves the construction of 3,016 housing units. The project is currently 30% complete. Mr. Speaker, work is progressing on the Coastal Protection Program of government, whose aim is to improve the resilience of the country's coastline against tidal wave erosion, whilst protecting lives, livelihood, and properties of the people living across the coast. Accordingly, the Dansomai, Axim, Amalfo, Kuma, Anomabo, and Elmina Phase 3 coastal protection projects are currently at 98%, 100%, 65%, and 80% respectively. Other coastal protection projects are currently ongoing at Cape Coast, 72% complete, Discove, 38% complete, Commander, 85% complete, Abwazi Phase 2, 30%, and Ningo Pram Pram 44%. In the medium term, government will commence works at Blekusu, Apam, Axim, La and Teshi, Dansoman, Shaman, Ningo Pram Pram, Temanu Town, Anloga and Takrady. Mr. Speaker, government's commitment to constructing a modern railway network in our country is gradually bearing fruit. The construction of the 22-kilometer section of the Western Railway line on the new standard gauge from Kojokrom to Manso, which commenced in 2018, is on schedule to be completed before the end of this year. Ahead of its completion, government has secured the needed funding to continue the Western Railway Development Project for an additional 78 kilometers from Manso to Huni Valley. The project will also include the conversion of the dual gauge tracks between Takrady and Kojokrom from narrow gauge to standard gauge. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to this House for considering and approving a commercial contract and a facility agreement of some 439 million euros to finance the development of another section of the Western Line from Agyapong to Obuasi, covering a distance of 51 kilometers. A lot more attention will be paid this year towards securing additional resources to complete the development of the Western Line from Awaso to link with the bauxite deposits at Ninehi, which will facilitate the development of the Ghana Integrated Aluminum Development Corporation GIADEC project. Mr. Speaker, potentially one of the most decisive interventions of the 2022 budget has been the Youth Start program, which has been established to encourage the development of entrepreneurship amongst the youth. Coupled with an even greater systematic support for the private sector, which will be a priority of my second term, it represents a major pathway for the economic growth and transformation of our country and for the solution of unemployment. Mr. Speaker, I cannot purport to speak about the state of the nation without addressing some critical governance issues that have featured in recent public discussions. Certain elements have attempted to advocate coup d'etats as the answer to the problems of the nation. We came through a long and tortuous journey to arrive at today's consensus on a multi-party democracy. But the last 29 years of our Fourth Republic have shown that this has been the most productive period since our independence. Both the major political parties of the country, the New Patriotic Party, NPP, and the National Democratic Congress, NDC, have made positive contributions to this development. There's work to be done on building our institutions, but our democracy is worth fighting for. It is up to us to find a way to accommodate each other and our differences to make things work for the benefit of the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, it might also be well that coup d'etats have re-entered our discourse because of the turmoil in our neighborhood. The West African region is suddenly back in the international news headlines for all the wrong reasons. We're back again as the region of political instability and the place for coups. Long and bitter experience led ECOWAS to its current stance of zero intolerance for military coups. We in Ghana know the cost of instability. It leads to the exodus of our artisans and professionals and the emptying of teachers from our schools. Speaker, today, at every traffic light junction in our big towns and cities, you can see the results of instability in our neighborhood with the influx of refugees into our country. we should be unapologetic about campaigning for stable democratic governments in our region. We do not want to be an island of peace and stability in a region of turmoil. We do not aspire to be prosperous in the midst of want and poverty. We want a stable and prosperous Ghana in a stable and prosperous region. We should use our chairmanship and membership of ECOWAS, our membership of the African Union, our membership of the Commonwealth, our membership of La Francophonie, and our position as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council to advance these goals. Mr. Speaker, taking into consideration the fact that COVID infection numbers have fallen dramatically, and on the advice of the National COVID Task Force, and announced on Sunday, 27th March, in the 28th update of the Fellow Ghanaians series, the lifting of most of the restrictions that we have had to endure for the past 2 years. As the health experts have advised, I hope we shall continue with some of the measures, like the washing of hands and the enhanced hygiene protocols that have served us so well, even though they are no longer mandatory. I'm sure we're all very relieved that the wearing of masks is no longer mandatory and we can hug our loved ones. With the lifting of the COVID restrictions, I'm looking forward to renewed energy and enthusiasm as all workplaces reopen at full capacity. Mr. Speaker, despite the protracted and sometimes acrimonious nature of proceedings, I'm happy that the House has finally found it possible to pass the e-levy bill. I believe strongly the levy is going to make a significant contribution to revenue mobilization and the management of the national economy. And I want to thank members of the House for making this possible. Mr. Speaker, there are many problems that we have to overcome to get back to where we ought to be. I need your support. No president, no parliament, no government can undertake this task all by themselves. We need all Ghanaians to pull and push together. The road to recovery will be long and hard, but we have started on a good footing by accepting that we are in a difficult place and are taking the difficult decisions that will get us out. If anyone had ever had any doubts about the need for self-reliance, the point has now been forcibly drilled home to us. The pursuit of the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda is even more compelling now. I have no doubts whatever, Mr. Speaker, that we have it in us to build the Ghana of our dreams. I saw the spirit of togetherness and the willingness to help each other when COVID struck. We looked out for each other. I saw the sense of enterprise and innovation of the Ghanaian. I saw our manufacturers quickly adapt their plans to produce sanitizers, and our tailors equally quickly displayed the innovation they had always been known for by turning face masks into fashion items. We have first-class health professionals, and they came into their own during the crisis, and we're providing the infrastructure to enhance the quality of their work. We have first-class teachers. They showed it when the pandemic struck and kept our children firmly to their books. The self-confidence of the Ghanaian is well-rooted. Let us, more than ever, hold up our heads high and face the future with courage, hope, and assurance. Let us recall our age-old Ghanaian values of hard work, enterprise, solidarity, dignity, and hospitality. Look around you, believe in Ghana, and be inspired by Ghana. We will bounce back together. The battle is the Lord's. May God bless us all in our homeland, Ghana, and make her great and strong. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your attention.
Honourable members, we have heard His Excellency the President. We've also heard the concerns that some of you have raised, and His Excellency has responded to it. I, on behalf of all of you, in accordance with Standing Order 58, wish to convey to His Excellency the President the gratitude of the House. Honourable members, again, in accordance with the practice of this House, a formal communication will be forwarded to His Excellency the President after the House has thoroughly debated this message on the state of the nation. With this, and looking at the time of the day, I want to give the opportunity to the leadership of the House to, if there is any indication of where we proceed from here. In other words, it is still within their ambit to move or not to move for the adjournment of this House. And I will start by giving the opportunity to the Majority Leader. Majority Leader, I talked about adjournment.
The Speaker, as you indicated, we've just listened to the President deliver a message on the state of the nation. It lasted for 1 hour, 8 minutes. Speaker, given the exigencies of times, it's intended for us to begin the debate on the message tomorrow. And I guess we'll push ourselves to possibly Saturday or so. Mr. Speaker, I just said,
Honourable members,
possibly.
Honourable members,
I chose my words advisedly. I said possibly Saturday. Mr. Speaker, if we cannot conclude
honourable members,
if we can conclude on Saturday, possibly, we'll take it to next week at a day that the Business Committee shall appoint. Mr. Speaker, So, Mr. Speaker, so in that regard, I want to move that this House takes an adjournment to reconvene tomorrow at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Speaker, I believe, as the President has shared with us, we stand united and in a very transparent
reconciliatory,
and, Mr. Speaker, very transparent and in a patriotic manner debate the statement and move forward as a nation. Mr. Speaker, I thank you and I so move.
Just a second.
Honorable members, a motion for adjournment has been moved. Any seconder? Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we have heard His Excellency President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. We expected him to deliver the true state of the nation address, which will reflect the growing hardships and suffering of the Ghanaian people. Regrettably, Mr. Speaker, he himself today does not have the confidence even to talk about the economy or the state of the Ghanaian economy. He is continuing with his promises and slogans. But, Mr. Speaker, a constitutional imperative. We are prepared and ready to debate them and to prove a credible alternative led by John Dramani Mahama from we will. So, Mr. Speaker, so with the President willfully downplaying the hardship reality, I beg to second the motion for adjournment.
Honorable members, order. Honorable members, I can only enjoy the nostalgia of being a majority leader and a minority leader. I enjoy the privileges of both. With this, I put the question. Those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, I put the question again. Those in favor of adjournment of sitting to tomorrow, say aye. Those against, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned till Thursday, 31st March 2022 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon. The House is adjourned.